Our group is Taco Tuesday, and we will be launching the Tootsie Roll brand in Japan. We will begin by analyzing the Japanese market. Then we will discuss our global marketing plan, and finally we will go over the promotional and media mix for our product launch. With the GDP of over $4 trillion in 2016, the economy in Japan was the third largest in the world, trailing only the United States and China. With a population of over 127 million people, Japan ranks as the 11th most populous country in the world. The country exercises great economic power over most of the world. Japan's economic system is very similar to that of the United States. Like many other highly advanced economic countries, Japan operates as an industrialized, free market economy in which thousands of businesses compete with each other for profits. As of 2016, Japan has the largest electronic sales in the world and the third largest automobile sales in the world. The two largest companies in Japan are Mitsubishi and Toyota, which are both well-known automobile companies. In terms of government structure, Japan operates as a constitutional monarchy. The power of the emperor in Japan is very limited. He serves as mostly a figurehead and a symbol of state and unity of the people. Most of the power in Japan is held by the Prime Minister and other elected officials of the National Diet, which consists of a House of Representatives and a House of Councilors. The two major political parties in Japan are the Democratic Party of Japan and the Liberal Democratic Party of Japan, or the LDC. The tax system in Japan is very similar to that of the United States in that it follows a progressive individual income tax. Since World War II, Japan has maintained a foreign policy that promotes peace and prosperity for its citizens. The political and economic situation in Japan is very positive. It indicates that the company is very stable, efficient, and that the default probability is very low. The Japanese government has devised a series of policies to encourage free trade and to ensure economic growth for the country. Government regulation in Japan typically relates to labor markets, trade, competition, and tax incentives in Japan. Turning to the social and cultural environments of Japan, it is widely known that Japan is a high-context culture. As we discussed in lecture, high-context cultures rely heavily on implicit communication and nonverbal cues. Based on Hofstede's typology, Japan is a highly masculine culture in which men are expected to be assertive, competitive, and concerned with success. Women in Japanese culture are concerned with the welfare of the children. The two major religions in Japan are Shinto and Buddhism. By far the most widely spoken language in the country is Japanese, which nearly 99% of the population speaks as their first language. Traditional Japanese sports include sumo wrestling, judo, and karate. In the modern day, baseball has also become a popular pastime, especially with the younger generation.
Japan is a great target market for the Tootsie Roll industries. It was ranked number 8 in the world for having the highest candy retail volume. The Japanese consumed 931,231 pounds of candy in 2016 alone. The myth that chocolate is bad for you has been debunked in Japan due to its widespread media of the health benefits of cacao, which have helped boost chocolate sales. Some of the benefits include reducing blood pressure, minimizing stress, and preventing articulosis. The Asian markets are expected to control 20% of the global market share. Japan ranks in the top 30 of the world's richest countries, which is great for Tootsie Roll to expand because it can be profitable. Japan's wealthy individuals represent 59% of those in the Asian region. Japan's technology is very advanced. The country is currently working on a 5G network. This release is rumored to be as fast to upload full-length movies within seconds. Japan's infrastructure is also fully developed. It's comparable to the United States. One of the country's notable forms of transportation are trains. The fastest train can reach up to a staggering 374 miles per hour. Unfortunately, this is still being perfected to accept passengers. And Japan has some of the most exquisite airports. It is rumored that Tokyo's airport is 50% higher than New York City's JFK airport. It's one of the most expensive in the world. Just as a brief background about the Tootsie Roll Industries, the company was launched in 1896 by Leo Hirschfeld. Their iconic slogan, "How many licks does it take to get to a Tootsie Pop?" is known across various countries. The chocolate wrapped candy grew famous during the Korean War. The Marines actually used the code name Tootsie Rolls for mortar shells, but accidentally they were sent the candy instead, which kind of put them in a craze. So Tootsie Rolls, they were loved by the soldiers and they were actually used to give them some nutrients. And because Tootsie Rolls can either be frozen or warmed by the soldier's body heat, they were used to weld bullet holes in vehicles, hoses, and other equipment. Tootsie Rolls can also be considered patriotic. Tootsie Roll Industries can produce 64 million Tootsie Pops a day. The company is constantly exercising opportunities to reduce costs, such as conserving energy, water, and material reduction and recycling. Their corporate sustainability program has helped minimize overhead costs and promote the environment, which consumers are growing conscious about. Tootsie Roll's competition, Hershey, is manufacturing more product a day. Hershey has the capability to produce 70 million kisses daily. Current trends in the chocolate confectionery market include opening retail stores, which Kit Kat, Hershey, and Mars M&M have all done. And another trend is creating packaging for sharing. In order for Tootsie Roll Industries to surpass their competitors, they will need to advertise effectively using various media channels. Tootsie Roll allegedly shuns the public as reported through the Wall Street Journal. One reporter stated that if anyone wants information, they might have to jump the big fence surrounding the company. Their competitors, Hershey, on the other hand, invites visitors and the press and gives them free samples, emphasizing fun and information on the company. Tootsie Roll needs to educate their consumers on their brands and company stances. Currently, the market share of Tootsie's major competitors are Hershey, which owns 31% of the chocolate confectionery market. Mars follows in second with 29.1%, Melendez with 5.3%, Lindor with 5.3%, Nestle with 4.5%, Private Label with 3.2%, Ferrera with 2.5%, and then all the other ones follow behind.
The long-standing description of the Japanese consumer has been that they have always had a willingness to pay a premium in order to receive quality and convenience. But after decades of this purchasing behavior, the typical Japanese consumer is showing signs of giving way to a new consumer who is willing to forego these luxuries in favor of discount products. The new Japanese consumer trends match well with a target market for Tootsie Roll. There are already high-end chocolate and confectionery brands in Japan. In order to penetrate the Japanese confectionery market, Tootsie Roll will need to establish itself as a low-cost alternative that delivers value. This matches the evolving Japanese consumer perfectly. While the aging population of Japan is an important demographic, the younger consumer who is willing to try new products based on value will be the crucial demographic. Tootsie Roll currently operates internationally, but the majority of their business takes place in North America and 92% in the United States alone. Of their total global sales, nearly a quarter comes through a partnership with Walmart. Luckily for Tootsie Roll, Walmart operates worldwide and has a large presence in Japan under the Seiyu brand name. Walmart Japan operates 345 stores and employs 36,000. Most interesting is that the shifting of the overall Japanese consumer is being replicated on a smaller scale by Walmart. More than 2/3 of both their associates and customers are female, and the average age of their customer has dropped each year since 2012. Financially, consumers are expected to continue to become more cost-conscious as Japan implements tax rate increases. To combat this, Walmart Japan has implemented Price Lock. This holds prices of select items for a 6-month period and has shown double-digit sales growth for the items selected, but also single-digit growth for related items. All of this points not to licensing the brand or any franchise opportunities, but to continue their current distribution method through retail stores, particularly Walmart. Japan has the largest confectionery market in Asia with a 2008 value of $9.1 billion, narrowed down to just chocolate, and the value is $3.7 billion. Currently, 65% of the market is controlled by 3 companies, leaving the remaining 35% to be split amongst 5 to 7 different producers, for an average market share of 5 to 6%. Because of the strong initial entry advantage with a Walmart partnership already in place and a heavy marketing investment, we project a first-year market share of 1%, which equates to roughly $37 million US. This value would help diversify Tootsie Roll's overall sales outside of North America and the United States by placing 6 to 7% in Japan. Once this level of sales is achieved, we would expect a growth of 10 to 15 percentage points annually due to the aggressive marketing scope to eventually settle around 5 to 6% of market share.
Alright, well, when we look at the brand identity within Japan, we have to make a decision as to whether we want to standardize or adapt our brand identity to the Japanese culture. We're going to use an advertising adaptation to the Japanese culture and obviously use some folks from Japan who understand the culture well. But in terms of the color scheme and the name, we're going to keep that the same. That's been the same throughout the whole world, and we don't want to change that just for one country. And furthermore, it's not like the name is offensive in the Japanese language or anything like that, so there's really no reason to get a different color coordination or name. We'll use local media within Japan, and obviously the product will remain the same, but we will introduce smaller trial-sized bags just as an introduction, so people don't have to purchase a large bag when just trying it out for the first time. In terms of pricing, we're going to use a pricing penetration strategy. This is the most effective for long-term elastic demand. And since Kit Kat already has a very solid market share in the country, we're trying to lure people away from that candy and to try ours. And so we're going to do that by introducing a low introductory price. Price skimming obviously wouldn't work. Kit Kat already has many people that love it, and there's very low demand for Tootsie Roll simply because people haven't tried it out. Furthermore, Tootsie Roll is suited for mass market and production. Obviously, there are some concerns within the pricing penetration strategy. One of the biggest ones being the long-term low price expectation, where people will just expect us to keep that low price for a really long time. We're going to use an introductory low price basically as a sales promotion. We're thinking probably about a 50% introductory special, but after about a month or so, then we'll have other miscellaneous promotions for a couple of years. And once the couple of years is up, then we will gradually increase the price as people adapt to the product. In terms of distribution, we're going to distribute just like we do in all 75 other countries that Tootsie Roll is currently involved in. It's going to be an indirect involvement. When you think of candy, you typically don't think of customer interaction with the manufacturer. It's one of those things that people like to just pick up in the checkout line and go on their merry way. So they don't want to communicate with the manufacturer. Initially, we'll use a push method, but after a couple years, once we get a sense for the supply and demand for each store, then we'll adapt more of a pull method.
Our communication objective is to convince 1% of the target audience that Tootsie Roll provides a tasty and enjoyable treat. We plan to achieve this objective through different advertising, sales, and social media techniques. The budget for this campaign is $44 million. Of that $44 million, we will invest $15 million into both train and billboard advertisements. We will invest $10 million into television, $3 million into Facebook, and we will invest $1 million back into market research. We justified this budget by calculating the net present value of investing $44 million. With a goal of earning 1% market share each year for the first 5 years and using a discount rate of 10%, we calculate a positive net present value of $30.5 million. We also wanted to consider how successful this campaign will be if our sales are not as successful as we project. So we calculated the net present value with only gaining 0.4% market share instead of using the goal of 1%. In this scenario, we actually still calculate a positive net present value of $1.7 million. Showing a positive with only 0.4% growth gives us the confidence that our budget is the correct investment.
Our promotion mix will include advertising, sales, and social media. For advertising, we will use full wrap decals on intercity bound trains, billboards in dense areas, and television product placement. The sales promotion will include a 6-month price fix at Walmart locations, and social media will primarily be targeted through Facebook advertising. The Tootsie Roll Pop wrapper is classic to American eyes. Who doesn't remember hunting for the shooting star in hopes of receiving a free Tootsie Pop? However, to make our product more relevant in Japan, we've decided to update the illustrations. We've chosen Takashi Murakami for this project. His pop art style is famous, and he has had past collaborations with Louis Vuitton and Kanye West. Through our market research, we've analyzed popular flavor trends in Japan. Our analysis has led us to believe new flavors are imperative for a successful launch. The flavors we've chosen are lychee, guava, green tea, sour grape, strawberry, and dark chocolate. The first part of our ad campaign includes raising awareness through Japan Rail. The full wrap decals are both fun and playful ways to grab the attention of pedestrians on their daily commute. It also has the added benefit of being near omiyage stores. Omiyage is the traditional gift-giving of candy in Japanese culture for minor occasions. This could be anything from giving it to coworkers, friends, or family after returning home from a vacation or any other trip. The second part of our ad campaign is to strategically place billboards in population-dense areas. Although we have chosen to keep our wrappers in English, the billboards will feature our new Japanese slogan, "Smart on the outside, fun on the inside." This refers both to the product itself, with the Tootsie Roll inside of a sucker, and also acknowledges Japanese pressures for academic success and professional success while encouraging users to have fun along the way. Our Facebook advertisements will use the same slogan and imagery as our billboard advertisements. The benefit of using Facebook is that we can hit our specific target demographic of students and young professionals who use Facebook on a regular basis, similar to they do in the United States. Our final form of advertisement will be product placement in television shows. Talk shows, game shows, and comedy shows are extremely popular in Japan, and by placing our product either through prop or in the background, we can quickly skyrocket our brand awareness.